Hello everyone and welcome to Moonlit West, the channel where we share gentle, heartfelt stories that touch the soul. Today's story is Soft Sunlight on the Tree, and it's meant to offer a moment of relaxation, reflection, and meaning in life. Before we begin, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story from our channel. If you enjoy content like this, feel free to share it with your friends and family to enjoy together. Now grab a warm blanket, find a comfortable spot, and let soft sunlight on the tree take you into a world full of emotions. We're so happy to have you here, and we hope each story will be a little piece of joy in every moment. Wishing you a relaxing and heartwarming experience. Chapter 1, Childhood in a Small Town. In the 1970s, in a small town in the southern United States, where dusty red roads wound through fields of wildflowers, and a small river meandered under golden sunlight, life unfolded in peaceful simplicity. Summers here carried the fragrance of grass and flowers, accompanied by the chirping of crickets along the riverbanks. In the mornings, dewdrops sparkled on the petals of wildflowers, and every afternoon, the children of the town would rush into the fields, their laughter echoing across the open spaces. Ben Harper, a shy 9-year-old boy, often spent hours by the window of his family's wooden house, gazing out at the vast fields. Ben had contemplative eyes and always carried a sketchbook with him. He loved drawing everything around him, the tiny wildflowers swaying in the breeze, the clouds drifting lazily across the sky, and especially Emily Carter. Emily, the girl next door, had eyes that sparkled like twin stars and a radiant smile. In contrast to Ben's reserved nature, Emily was always the leader in their games. Whether it was climbing hills, leaping over small streams, or exploring the fields beyond the town, Emily was full of energy. She often pulled Ben along on her little adventures, from searching for frogs by the stream to chasing butterflies through the meadows. Each time Emily ran past Ben's house, her hair dancing in the wind, he couldn't help but smile. One summer day, as the sun bathed the fields in soft golden light, Ben and Emily wandered into the meadows together. Emily picked wildflowers and wove them into a crown, placing it on her head, while Ben sat by a large oak tree nearby, quietly sketching her in his notebook. When Emily noticed, she laughed and said, "Ben, what are you drawing? Is that me? Oh my, you've made me look so much prettier than I actually am." Ben blushed, saying nothing, and focused intently on his drawing. Emily sat down beside him, her eyes lighting up as she watched his work. That was when Ben decided to carve both their names into the trunk of the oak tree as a way to preserve this beautiful moment. "This is our memory tree," Ben said softly, his eyes filled with both shyness and sincerity. Emily touched the freshly carved letters, a smile spreading across her face. "Then whenever we're happy or sad, let's come here, okay? This will be our secret place." From that day on, the oak tree became a special spot for the two children. Emily would share her grand dreams with Ben. "One day, I'll leave this small town," she said, her eyes gazing far toward the horizon. "I want to go to the big city, see skyscrapers, and hear music from all over the world." Ben only smiled, saying nothing, but deep down, every word Emily spoke felt like a promise of something greater. He didn't know if he had the courage to dream as far as she did. All he wanted was to keep Emily here, beside him, under the gentle sunlight filtering through the oak tree's leaves. One late afternoon, as the golden light streamed through the branches, Emily brought Ben a small box. Inside were feathers, a few stones she had collected, and an old postcard. "This is our treasure," she said. "One day I'll send you a postcard from the big city." Ben held the box tightly, his heart filled with warmth, but also tinged with worry. He wondered if one day, when Emily left, the oak tree and their childhood memories would remain intact, or if they would fade away under the pale golden sunlight. Chapter 2, Youth and Separation. The high school years passed, and the small town that Ben and Emily had grown up in began to change. Along the newly paved roads, houses sprang up close together, bringing a livelier pace of life, but also gradually shrinking the peaceful spaces they once knew. The field of wildflowers, once their private sanctuary, had been reduced to a small patch, squeezed between fences and vacant lots waiting for construction. Even so, the memory oak tree remained steadfast, its thick canopy casting shadows on the ground, as though embracing the childhood memories etched into its bark. The wind rustled through its leaves, creating familiar sounds that recalled the bright summer days of their youth. Sometimes, Ben would sit beneath the tree, feeling the damp earth after a rain, or watching the sunlight glimmer through the leaves, and memories of Emily would flood his mind. This was the one place untouched by time or progress in the town, serving as a reminder that memories could always be revisited if one just listened. Emily, now 16 years old, had grown into a radiant young woman, exuding confidence and fiery enthusiasm. Her hair, soft and golden like the evening sun, often flowed loosely but was always neat, as if reflecting her vibrant yet orderly nature. What stood out most about Emily was her deep blue eyes, as though they held an entire sky filled with dreams. Those eyes sparkled with both brightness and a distant gaze, giving anyone who met them the impression that she was looking far beyond the wildflower fields and the rolling green hills. Emily brought energy to every place she went. She walked with a casual yet confident grace, and her voice carried a gentle musicality. Beyond her striking appearance, she had a witty sense of humor and an effortless ability to make others laugh. Yet deep inside, Emily harbored an intense desire to leave this small town and chase the horizons she had dreamed of since she was a child. One late afternoon, as golden sunlight cast long shadows through the town, Emily came to Ben's house. She stood outside the wooden fence, waving to him, her clear voice cutting through the stillness of the air. A gentle breeze ruffled her hair, making it sway like the soft sunlight caressing her radiant face. Ben stepped out of his small wooden house, his sketchbook still in hand. When he saw Emily, he smiled shyly, but his smile quickly faded as she spoke. "I've been accepted to a prestigious art university in the big city, Ben." Emily's voice carried a mix of joy and nervousness, and her sparkling eyes shone like the last rays of sunlight. Her deep blue eyes didn't just reveal excitement, but also a hint of sadness at the thought of leaving behind the familiar. She sat down on the porch steps of Ben's house, her hands clasped together, and began talking about the dreams she had often shared with him under the oak tree. "I've always wanted to leave this small town, and now that chance has come. But I'll miss everything here, Ben. Especially you," Emily said, her voice softening. But the words were enough to make Ben's heart ache. The world around them seemed to fall silent, leaving only the gentle breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers from the nearby field. "I'm leaving next month, Ben. This is my chance to pursue my dreams," she said, her eyes glowing with determination. Ben said nothing, only nodding slightly, but his hands clenched tightly around his sketchbook, betraying his emotions. Inside him, a quiet sorrow rose like waves lapping endlessly at the shore, never fully receding. He wanted to say something, anything to make her stay, but each time his eyes met her deep blue ones, all his words were caught in his throat. He forced a smile, a bittersweet one even he could feel was hollow, and finally managed to say, "Congratulations, Emily. You deserve this." At a farewell school dance, the room was filled with shimmering lights and the soft melodies of music. Ben, wearing an old suit neatly pressed, stood at the edge of the stage, his eyes fixed on Emily. In his hand was a small piece of paper where he had written down heartfelt words he longed to share, but his feet felt rooted to the ground. Emily, dressed in a sparkling pale blue dress, stood nearby, her eyes searching the crowd. For a brief moment, their gazes met. Emily smiled gently and began walking toward him. Ben wanted to speak, but his throat felt tight. "Do you want to dance with me?" Emily asked, her voice as gentle as a soft breeze. He stammered, unable to answer, when a classmate approached and extended a hand to Emily. She hesitated, glancing back at Ben once more, as if waiting for something. But when she saw him standing still, unable to say a word, she smiled politely and stepped onto the dance floor with the other boy. Ben watched Emily twirl on the dance floor, her radiant smile outshining everything around her. Inside, a wave of disappointment and pain welled up in his chest. He realized he had just missed an opportunity, perhaps the last chance he would ever have to tell her what he had kept in his heart for so many years. His heart sank, heavy like his feet, which refused to step out from the shadows where he stood. Before Emily left town, Ben decided to do something special to preserve their best memories. In his small room, lit only by the dim glow of a desk lamp, he carefully spread out a sheet of paper on his desk. Each brushstroke was precise, every color meticulously chosen. Ben painted not just the wildflower field and the memory oak tree, but also added the smallest details, the soft glow of the setting sun, the vibrant flowers swaying in the breeze, and Emily's silhouette standing there, her hand gently resting on the tree as if she were embracing the memories it held. Her face in the painting was serene, her deep blue eyes carrying a hint of longing, as if she were already dreaming of the horizons she was about to explore. Ben worked through the night, his tired eyes never leaving the canvas. He was afraid that if he stopped, the painting wouldn't fully capture what he wanted to convey. As dawn broke, Ben finally set his brush down and looked at the completed piece. A mixture of pride and sorrow filled him. This was more than a painting. It was a silent farewell, an expression of all the feelings he could never bring himself to say aloud. Carefully, Ben wrapped the painting in a soft cloth, tying it securely with an old ribbon. On his way to Emily's house, he walked slowly, his heart weighed down with a swirl of emotions. When he arrived, Emily was sitting on the porch steps, the morning sunlight casting a golden glow on her face, her hair shining like spun gold. She looked surprised to see him, and when she took the painting from his hands, her eyes filled with emotion. Emily unwrapped the painting, her deep blue eyes tracing every detail. The sunlight, the oak tree, the wildflower field, all of it came to life, as though Ben had captured the very soul of that place and of her. Her eyes glistened with tears, and her trembling hand gently touched the painting, as if afraid she might erase the memories Ben had poured into it with all his heart. "Thank you, Ben," Emily said, her voice choked with emotion, a mix of gratitude and regret. "I'll take it with me, so I'll always remember this place and remember you." In Ben's heart, a blend of sadness and contentment swirled together. It felt as if the painting had spoken all the words he hadn't been brave enough to say. He smiled faintly, his gaze soft as he looked at Emily. This was their final moment together before she left, and he hoped that whenever she looked at the painting, she would remember them, the oak tree, and the friendship he had cherished so deeply. The day Emily left, the sky held a faint golden hue, with sunlight filtering through the thinning branches of the oak tree, casting dappled patterns on the ground. Ben stood silently under the tree, his eyes following the old bus as it slowly rolled out of town. A gentle breeze rustled through, carrying the faint fragrance of the distant fields. Emily sat by the bus window, her hands pressed against the glass, her blue eyes like a silent farewell. She leaned forward, trying to catch one last glimpse of Ben before the small town faded from view entirely. Ben didn't wave, didn't call out. He just stood there, letting the emptiness spread through him. Everything around him seemed to pause, leaving only the soft rustling of the old oak's leaves. Emily's figure disappeared from sight, like a piece of his childhood being carried away forever. When the bus completely disappeared, Ben lowered his head, his feet leading him back to the oak tree. He sat down, his hands tracing the carvings on the tree's trunk, feeling each crack and reliving the memories etched into it over the years. Back in his small room, bathed in dim light, he began to paint. Each stroke of his brush was slow but filled with heartfelt dedication. Every detail seemed to carry an entire world within it. The endless wildflower field, the oak tree standing tall under the sky, and Emily's radiant figure. Her eyes in the painting looked forward, brimming with hope, yet tinged with a trace of wistful nostalgia. Ben's paintings, whether simple or intricate, always contained images of Emily and the days that could never return. Every time he picked up his brush, his emotions surged, waves of longing, regret, and an unspoken love that had never been expressed. For Ben, painting wasn't just a way to hold on to time. It was a way to relive the most beautiful moments of his life. Thank you to all of you who have spent your time joining me for the first chapter of Ben and Emily's story. I hope this tale has brought you moments of reflection and stirred up truly beautiful emotions. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit like to show your support, subscribe to avoid missing the next chapters, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. The night is already late, so make sure to get some rest to stay healthy. And don't forget, tomorrow we'll continue with Ben and Emily on a new journey filled with emotions and surprises. See you tomorrow. Sleep well.